The story begins far away on a quiet alien world. There lived a young alien girl, small and fragile, her skin faintly glowing under the stars. When she was only 5 years old, her life changed forever. She was punished in a way no child should ever be punished. Her vision, the gift of sight, was taken from her by the harsh law of her people. The aliens believed in strict rules. Every mistake was judged. Every step watched. Her crime was small, almost nothing at all. She had touched a sacred crystal, a thing forbidden to children. The crystal was part of their ancient religion, and though she meant no harm, the elders declared that she must pay a heavy price. They blinded her not with kindness but with cold. Unfeeling justice, from that day darkness became her only world. She stumbled through her village. Hearing whispers behind her back, other children avoided her, afraid that her curse might fall upon them too. Even her family grew distant, ashamed to have a blind daughter. The alien law told them to ignore her, to let her suffer. It was a punishment not only for her, but also for those who loved her. So slowly she was left alone. 15 long years passed, and the girl grew into a young woman. Her hair was long and tangled, her eyes pale and empty. She remembered no colors, only the echo of light from before the punishment. She spent her days listening to the wind and the voices around her. She could hear laughter from children playing, but she could never join. She could feel the warmth of the sun, but she could never see its golden shine. Her life was filled with shadows, and her heart carried a heavy sorrow. But there was something strange about her blindness. Sometimes, when she sat quietly in the night, she felt things others could not. She could sense movements in the air. She could hear footsteps from far away. It was as if the universe itself whispered to her in the darkness. The other aliens never noticed. Or perhaps they refused to believe. To them she was broken, weak, a symbol of shame, but deep inside, a hidden spark lived within her, waiting for the right moment. The girl often wondered why she was kept alive if her people hated her so much. Why not send her away? But the truth was cruel. Her blindness served as a reminder to everyone else, a warning carved into her life: break the law, and you will pay. So she remained in her village, not out of love but out of fear. The people fed her only enough to survive, never more, never less. She was not treated as a person, but as a lesson. At night she dreamed of light. She dreamed of colors she could not name, of faces she had never seen in her dreams. She ran freely under the stars. She imagined what it would be like to look at the sky, to see the sun, to see herself. But every morning, she woke up to the same black void. The world around her was full of wonders, but she was trapped in eternal darkness. The elders watched her from a distance. They whispered among themselves, worried that one day she might rebel. They had no idea that her punishment would draw the attention of others, beings far different from them, beings from beyond the stars. The girl did not know it yet, but her story was about to change. Her years of suffering were leading to something greater, something no one expected. For 15 years she lived in silence. For 15 years she carried pain too heavy for her young heart. But even in that darkness she never stopped hoping. She hoped for a hand to reach out, a voice to tell her she was not alone. She hoped for something beyond her cruel world, and far away across the galaxy humanity was coming, humans who saw blindness not as punishment, but as a challenge, humans who believed in second chances. And soon they would arrive, and when they did, the girl's life would no longer belong to the shadows. The young alien girl lived each day in silence, but the silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, filled with the weight of judgment. Her blindness was not only her punishment, it was a prison created by her own people. They treated her as if she was less than them, as if she was broken beyond repair. In the mornings, she would sit outside her small stone home. She listened to the sound of her village waking up. Children laughed as they chased each other. Mothers called their little ones to eat. Fathers spoke of work and trade. But never once did anyone call her name. Her presence was ignored, her existence treated like a shadow that should not be seen. When she tried to walk through the village, voices followed her. Whispers cut deeper than knives. She is cursed, they said. She carries shame for all of us. Some would even step away, afraid her blindness was a sickness they might catch. The girl kept her head down, her pale eyes closed, but inside her heart, the words burned. She longed to belong, yet the walls between her and the others grew stronger every year. Her own family offered her little comfort. Her mother gave her food in silence, never with a smile. Her father barely spoke to her at all. To them she was not a daughter anymore, but a punishment forced upon them by the elders. The girl could feel their disappointment, their fear of being judged for her crime. So she stayed quiet, swallowing her sadness like bitter medicine. Her home was full of people, yet she lived alone. The alien society was built on obedience. Their laws were older than memory, written in stone. No one dared question the decisions of the elders. If they said a child must be blinded, then the punishment was carried out. No argument, no mercy, and so for 15 years, no one asked if the girl deserved this fate. To them, she was simply a reminder of the law. Her pain served their order, and that was enough. But the girl had learned to survive in ways her people did not see. She could move through the village without bumping into walls. She could hear the smallest sound, the flap of a bird's wing, the drip of water far away. Her hands felt the world with delicate care, knowing shapes, textures, and warmth. Sometimes, when the wind blew across the mountains, she could sense something strange. It was as if the universe spoke to her, faint whispers no one else could hear. She did not understand it, but it gave her comfort. It made her believe she was not completely broken. Still, the cruelty around her never ended. There were days when children threw stones at her feet to make her stumble. There were nights when villagers shouted outside her home, "Curse," they yelled. "Stay in the dark where you belong." She never fought back, never shouted. Her silence only made her tormentors braver. Yet in her silence she built strength, a quiet strength no one could see. She wondered if this was how her life would end. 15 years had already been taken from her. Would she grow old in the shadows, forgotten and unwanted? Would she die without ever seeing her own reflection? These thoughts haunted her every night. But still, hope never fully left her heart. Even in the cruelest moments, a small voice whispered inside her, "One day, something will change." The elders were the most merciless. They never looked at her as a living soul. To them, she was a lesson carved into flesh. During village gatherings, they would point at her. "See her blindness," they told the children. "This is what happens when you disobey." The girl would sit silently, feeling their eyes on her. Every word dug into her heart. She wanted to scream, to tell them she was more than a punishment. But no one would listen. Her voice would only vanish in the wind. And so she carried her suffering quietly. Day after day, year after year, the cruel world around her had shaped her into something different, something her people could not understand. She felt the coldness of her society more deeply than anyone else. But she also knew the meaning of kindness because she had been denied it. And though she had never known compassion, she longed for it with every breath. Far beyond the sky and the endless stars, another people lived. They were not bound by the same cruel laws. They believed in healing, in mercy and second chances. They were called humans. And though the girl could not see them yet, their path was slowly moving closer to hers. The cruel world around her had left scars, but soon humanity would arrive, and their compassion would burn brighter than the cold judgment of her own people. Her story was not finished. The darkness was only the beginning. Something was coming, something her cruel world could never imagine. And for the first time, her suffering would mean something more. It would be the reason humanity intervened, and when they did, everything would change. The alien girl did not know that her life was about to change. For 15 years, she had lived in darkness, trapped by cruel laws and silent suffering. But far above her world, in the endless sky, a new kind of ship approached. It was not alien like hers, it was human. And inside that ship were beings who thought differently, beings who believed in kindness the humans had been exploring for many years. They traveled from star to star, learning about other worlds. They were curious, brave, and often reckless. But they were also compassionate. When they heard stories of the alien world and its harsh laws, they decided to see for themselves. Their mission was not war, not conquest, but understanding. Yet what they discovered was far more cruel than they expected. The human ship landed quietly on the edge of the alien city, metal feet pressed against the strange soil. Engines whispered into silence. The people of the village gathered at a distance. Watching with suspicion, they had seen other travelers before. But humans were rare to the aliens. Humans looked fragile, soft-skinned, too weak to survive the galaxy. But the humans carried something invisible, something powerful, their empathy. Among the human crew was a doctor named Elias. He had studied countless species, healed countless wounds. But when he heard of the blind girl, punished as a child and abandoned for years. His heart ached. He could not understand such cruelty. To him, blindness was a challenge. Not a curse, a condition to be treated, not a punishment to be enforced. And so he asked to meet her. The elders refused at first. They warned the humans that the girl was untouchable. Her fate is sacred law, they said. No one may undo what has been done. But humans were not bound by alien laws. Elias and his team walked into the village anyway. And when the girl heard unfamiliar voices, warm and gentle, her heart trembled for the first time. Someone spoke to her without judgment. They did not call her cursed. They did not whisper shame. They simply asked, "Are you all right?" The girl froze, her empty eyes wide. She had never been asked that question. Her own people never cared if she was all right. But these strangers, these soft-skinned humans, spoke as if her life mattered. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "I have lived in darkness for 15 years." And Elias knelt before her, his voice steady and kind. "Then we will try to give you light again." The villagers gasped in shock. The elders roared with anger. "You cannot change her fate," they declared. "The punishment is eternal." But Elias stood firm, his human eyes burning with determination. "To us," he said, "no punishment should last a lifetime." "Not for a mistake made as a child," the aliens muttered. Afraid of the consequences, their law was older than their world, and humans had just challenged it. That night, under the watch of the stars, the humans met the girl in secret. They led her gently away from the village. Her steps slow, her hands trembling. She felt their warmth, their strength, and for the first time she felt safe. The girl asked, "Why do you care for me?" And Elias answered softly, "Because no one should suffer alone. Because you deserve more than darkness." Tears slipped from her blind eyes, tears her own people had never seen. Inside the human ship, the girl heard machines humming. Strange smells of medicine and light filled the air. Her heart raced with fear and hope. The humans spoke to her kindly, explaining everything in simple words. They told her about human medicine, about ways to heal what others called impossible. They told her that her eyes, though damaged, might still hold the chance to see. The girl could hardly breathe. She had dreamed of this moment, but never believed it would come. Yet fear clung to her heart. "What if they find us?" she whispered. "What if the elders punish you too?" Elias placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "We are not afraid of punishment," he said. "We are afraid of doing nothing." The words burned into her soul. For the first time, someone had chosen her over the law. For the first time, she was worth saving outside the ship. Alien guards searched the shadows. The elders knew the humans were breaking their rules. They warned that intervention was a crime, but still, Elias prepared for the forbidden surgery. The girl lay quietly, her chest rising and falling with fear. She felt the humans surround her, protecting her, guiding her. Her whole life had been darkness, but now, the chance for light was so close, closer than it had ever been, and so, humanity stood on the edge of a choice, to heal the girl and risk the wrath of alien law, or to walk away and let her suffer forever. For the humans, the choice was already made, because to them, compassion was stronger than fear. And that night, on a distant world, they began a secret act of mercy, an act that would change not only the girl's life, but the destiny of two species. The human ship was silent in the night, hidden beyond the hills of the alien world. Inside, soft lights glowed and machines hummed like whispers. The blind girl sat quietly on a chair, her pale hands folded together. Her heart pounded with both fear and hope. For the first time in 15 years, someone was preparing to help her. But the danger was greater than anything she had ever known. Elias, the human doctor, stood before the crew. His voice was low, his words sharp with urgency. "We must keep this a secret," he said. "If the alien elders discover our plan, they will call us criminals, and their law will bring punishment upon us." The humans nodded, each of them knowing the risk. They were far from their home, surrounded by a people who valued law over mercy. One mistake and the entire crew could be captured, or worse, executed, yet none of them stepped back. None of them suggested leaving the girl behind. To humans, compassion was not weakness, it was strength, and so they chose to break the law of a foreign world. They chose to fight against cruelty, even if it cost them everything. The girl listened to their voices, her empty eyes turning toward the sound. She whispered softly, "Why would you risk your lives for me?" Elias knelt beside her, his hand gentle on her shoulder. Because your suffering is wrong, he answered, and if we walk away, then we are no better than those who punished you. Her lips trembled, tears sliding down her cheeks. She had never been worth the risk to anyone before, but now, these strangers from another star believed she deserved more than darkness. The crew began to prepare. They gathered medical tools, scanners, and strange glowing instruments. The ship's lights dimmed, casting long shadows across the walls. Each sound felt heavy with tension. They knew time was short. Already the alien guards were searching the night, following whispers of human disobedience. Outside, the village glowed faintly with fires. The elders met in secret councils, angry that the humans had spoken to the blind girl. "This is an insult to our laws," one hissed. "They must not interfere, or our order will collapse," another warned. And so patrols were sent to watch the humans. The noose of danger tightened with every hour. But inside the ship, the humans worked quietly. They ran scans of the girl's damaged eyes. Projecting images on glowing screens, her pupils were scarred. Her optic nerves weakened but not destroyed. Elias studied them with fierce determination. "There is a chance," he said, his voice steady. "It will not be easy, but I believe she can see again." The crew exchanged glances, hope burning in their eyes. For humans, possibility was enough to try. The girl sat still, listening to the hum of machines. She imagined what it might be like to see colors, to see faces, to see the sky. She whispered, "If I can see again, what will happen to me?" One of the human crew, a young woman named Kara, took her hand. "You will be free," Kara said, "free to choose your own life, not live as their lesson of shame." The words shook the girl's heart. She had never imagined freedom. Her whole life had been shadow and chains, but now she felt a spark of something new, hope. The plan was simple but dangerous: perform the surgery in secret, hide the girl until her eyes healed. Then, when she could see, reveal the truth to her people. Elias believed that no one could deny the miracle once they saw it. But the others warned. "The elders may still call it forbidden," Kara said. "They may try to blind her again or punish us all." Elias clenched his fists, his voice firm. "Then we will stand against them, because what is right must be stronger than their law." The girl's breath shook. She had lived too long in fear to imagine anyone standing for her. But these humans spoke with courage she had never known. She felt their warmth, their strength, and she whispered, "I will trust you." As the night deepened, the humans set their plan in motion. The girl lay on a narrow bed. Machines surrounding her, Elias prepared the tools. His hands steady, his eyes sharp, Kara held the girl's hand, whispering comfort outside the ship. The patrols moved closer, their lights sweeping the hills. The humans worked quickly, knowing discovery was only moments away. In the darkness of her mind, the girl prayed silently. She did not know to whom she prayed, but she wished for light. She wished for one chance to see the world and far away beyond the stars. Perhaps the universe listened, for the humans had come, and they would not stop until her fate was changed. The secret plan was dangerous, the risk was great, but it was also the only hope she had ever known. And as the first cut of the forbidden surgery began, the world outside held its breath. Would the humans succeed, or would the cruel law crush them all? The girl lay on the bed inside the human ship, her pale hands trembling against the cold sheets. For 15 years, she had lived in endless night, and now, strangers from the stars promised her a chance to see. Her heart raced, not only with hope but with fear. If the aliens outside discovered what was happening, punishment would be swift, but she could not turn back. She had chosen to trust humanity, even if it cost her everything. Elias, the human doctor, stood over her, his tools glowing faintly in the dim light. He had done many surgeries in his life, but none like this. This was not only a medical act, it was an act of defiance against an entire civilization. Beside him, Kara held the girl's hand, whispering softly, "Stay strong. You are not alone anymore." The girl nodded, tears sliding from her sightless eyes. Her lips moved in a trembling whisper. "Please, let me see the stars." The surgery began. Machines hummed with sharp precision. Beams of light scanned her damaged eyes. The human crew moved with silent focus. Each knowing the risk outside, Elias worked carefully. Repairing what had been broken so long ago, he replaced what was scarred. Restored what was weakened. Every moment was delicate, every second filled with danger. Outside the ship, the alien patrol searched the hills. Their boots crunched against the dirt. Their glowing staffs lit the night. One soldier paused, eyes narrowing as he studied the distant ship. "There is movement," he muttered. "The humans are hiding something." The patrol leader raised a hand, ordering silence. "We will watch a little longer. Then strike," he whispered, unseen by the humans. The circle of danger grew tighter. Inside, Elias felt sweat on his brow. The girl's body trembled, but she remained brave. Kara kept whispering comfort, her voice like a lifeline pulling the girl through the storm. At one moment, the girl gasped. She saw a faint spark behind her eyes, not sight, but the first flicker of something new. Elias leaned closer, his voice urgent. "Her nerves are responding. We must continue." The crew's hearts filled with hope, but hope was fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Suddenly, alarms blinked on the ship's screens. Sensors picked up movement. Alien guards approaching fast. The humans exchanged sharp glances, fear flashing in their eyes. Kara tightened her grip on the girl's hand. "We cannot stop now," Elias said firmly. "If we end it here, her chance will be lost forever." The crew nodded, determination stronger than fear. They worked faster, shadows of soldiers creeping closer outside. The girl felt something strange inside her. Her mind was still filled with darkness, but now faint shapes flickered at the edges. She gasped, describing them in broken words. "Light. I think I see light," her voice cracked. Filled with disbelief, the crew held their breath. It was the first time in 15 years she had spoken those words. Even if it was only a shadow of sight, it was more than she had ever dreamed. But time was running out. The sound of boots echoed outside. The voices of soldiers sharp and cold. "Surround the ship," a commander ordered. "No one leaves alive." The humans heard the muffled noise. "But they did not stop," Elias whispered. "Just a little longer." Every second felt like a battle. Every cut of his hand was a war against cruelty. The girl felt pain, sharp and burning, but she did not cry out. Her heart clung to the whispers of the humans. "Stay strong," Kara repeated. "You are almost there." The machines beeped louder, the glow around her eyes brighter. The surgery was reaching its peak. If they succeeded, she would open her eyes and see the world again. If they failed, she would be lost forever. Outside, alien guards raised their weapons. They prepared to storm the ship, to drag the girl out and blind her again. But something inside the ship had already changed. For the first time in her life, the girl's eyes flickered open. At first there was only blur, only shadows, but then a soft light broke through. She gasped, her breath shaking. I can see something," she whispered. Tears ran down her cheeks. Though she could not yet see them clearly, Elias smiled, relief flooding his face. "It is only the beginning," he said. "Your sight will return slowly." "But it will return." The humans shared silent joy. They had broken the impossible, but their moment was short-lived. The ship shook as fists pounded against its outer walls. The aliens had found them. The forbidden surgery had been discovered. The girl clutched Kara's hand, her new vision still weak. "Will they take it away from me again?" she asked. Fear breaking her voice, Kara looked at Elias. And Elias looked back at her. Neither answered, for they knew the danger was real. But Elias stood tall, his voice steady. "No, not while we still breathe." The forbidden surgery was complete. The girl had opened her eyes to a world she had never known. But now humanity would face the fury of alien law. Outside, soldiers shouted. Ready to break inside, the humans stood guard, prepared to protect their patient, and in the heart of it all, the girl's fragile vision glowed like a spark in the dark. A spark that could either light the future or be crushed forever. The girl's chest rose and fell quickly as she lay on the human bed. Her hands clutched the blanket, her heart pounding with terror and hope. For a moment she thought the pain would consume her. But then faint shapes flickered before her empty eyes. Shadows first, then faint colors. Her lips trembled as she whispered, I can see something." Kara bent close, her face full of hope. "What do you see?" she asked softly. The girl's eyes blinked rapidly, trying to adjust to a world she had never known. She saw a blur of light, a glow like fire in the dark. "I see brightness," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I see light." Tears slid down her face. For 15 years she had dreamed of this moment. Now the dream was becoming real. Elias checked the monitors, his voice firm. "Her vision is returning slowly, but it will grow stronger." The crew exchanged silent smiles. Their mission was not yet finished, but hope had entered the room. The girl lifted a trembling hand toward Kara's face, her eyes still blurred. but she could faintly see the shape of a person. You are real, she whispered. Kara squeezed her hand, tears in her eyes. Yes, I am here and you are not alone anymore. Outside the ship, the pounding grew louder. Alien soldiers shouted orders, their weapons clashing against the hull. The humans could hear their voices, sharp and full of rage. Open this ship, one roared, or face the law. The crew knew they had only moments, but none of them would abandon the girl. Not now, not after what they had done inside. The girl's vision sharpened little by little. She blinked as faint colors began to form. The soft blue glow of the ship's lights, the pale silver of the machines. She gasped, overwhelmed. Her whole body trembled as she whispered. So many colors. For her, even the smallest detail was a miracle. Her fingers reached for the light as if she could hold it. The crew watched her with silent awe. They had traveled galaxies, but this moment felt like the greatest discovery of all. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The soldiers outside had begun to force their way in. The girl froze, fear clutching her chest. What if they blind me again? She whispered. Her voice breaking, Elias stood tall, his jaw tight. They will not, he said firmly. We will protect you. The humans gathered around her, forming a shield with their own bodies. To them, she was no longer just a patient. She was a symbol of everything they believed in: compassion over cruelty, mercy over law. The doors groaned as the soldiers struck them again. Inside, Elias whispered to his crew, if they enter, they will try to drag her away. We cannot let that happen. Kara looked at the girl and said, You must be brave now, your sight is a miracle. Do not let them take it. The girl nodded slowly, her blurred eyes shining with new tears. She had lived in silence all her life, but now, for the first time, she felt a voice inside her grow strong. She would not go quietly back into the darkness. The pounding grew louder, metal screeched. Sparks flew as the soldiers forced the outer door. The girl's vision sharpened just enough for her to see her reflection on a smooth surface. She gasped, lifting her hands to her face. That is me, she whispered, her breath catching. Her reflection stared back, fragile and pale, but alive. For the first time, she knew what she looked like. The moment filled her with wonder and sorrow at once. So many years lost, so many years without sight, but now, she had something worth fighting for. With a crash, the outer doors buckled. The soldiers poured in, weapons raised, their voices harsh. Stop this crime, they shouted. Return the girl to her punishment. But the humans stood firm. Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. She is no crime. She is no curse. She is alive, and she deserves her sight. The soldiers hesitated, their eyes narrowing. The girl saw them now, blurred but real. Tall figures wrapped in cold armor. Her heart pounded as she realized she could see her oppressors, and she felt anger for the first time. The elders appeared behind the soldiers, their faces twisted with rage. You have broken our sacred law, one hissed. She must be blinded again, another declared. The girl shook her head violently, her voice breaking. No, she cried. I will not return to the darkness. Her voice rang louder than she had ever spoken. The humans turned toward her, pride burning in their hearts. She was no longer just a victim, she was awakening. Not only with sight, but with courage. The elders stepped closer, their hands raised as if to strike. But Elias moved between them and the girl. If you touch her, he warned, you will face humanity's wrath. The soldiers hesitated again, fear flickering in their eyes, for they had heard stories of humans before, fragile in body, but unbreakable in spirit. The girl gripped Kara's hand, her blurred vision filled with light and shadow. She whispered, Please, do not let them take this from me. And Kara whispered back, Never, not while we stand. The room pulsed with tension. The girl's awakening had begun. She had seen her own face, the light, the colors, the world, and now she stood at the center of a storm, the future balanced on a fragile edge. Would her new sight bring freedom, or would the law steal it away? The answer was only moments away, but one thing was certain. She would never again be the silent shadow her people had made her. She had opened her eyes, and with them her soul had awakened. The room shook with voices and fury. The alien soldiers stood with weapons raised, the elders glaring with hatred. The humans stood in a circle around the girl, their bodies forming a living shield, and in the middle, the blind girl, who was no longer blind, clutched Kara's hand. Her blurred eyes filled with both fear and courage. The elders' voices cut through the air, sharp as blades. You have broken our sacred law, one thundered. No one may undo the punishment of blindness, another spat. She must be blinded again, and you humans will be judged for your crime. The villagers gathered at the doors, whispering and gasping. They had never seen such defiance, never seen their law challenged so openly. Elias stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Your law has taken 15 years from this child, he said. You call it justice, but we call it cruelty, the elders hissed, their faces twisted with rage. You do not understand our ways. Human, one declared. But Elias did not back down. Perhaps not, he answered, but I understand compassion, and compassion is stronger than any law written in stone. The girl's sight cleared more with each moment. She saw the faces around her, human faces full of care, alien faces full of anger. For the first time in her life, she was not invisible. She raised her voice, trembling but strong. I was punished as a child. For a mistake I did not understand, she said. You left me in darkness, alone for 15 years. But now I can see. Her words echoed through the chamber. The villagers gasped, eyes wide. None of them had ever heard her speak with such strength. The elders tried to silence her. Be quiet, they roared. You have no right to speak. But she stood taller, her voice rising. I have every right, she cried. You blinded me, but you could not take my spirit. You called me a curse, but I am alive, I am here, and I will not return to the shadows. The humans watched with pride. Her courage was their victory, her words a weapon sharper than any blade. The soldiers wavered, their weapons trembling in their hands. Some looked at the girl with doubt, others with guilt. They had believed the elders' law was unbreakable. But now, before their eyes, was proof that the law was wrong. The girl could see the girl was alive, and the humans had given her back the gift of light. One soldier lowered his weapon, his voice quiet. She is not cursed, he whispered. She is proof that mercy is stronger than punishment. The elders turned in fury. You dare defy the law, they shouted. But the whispers among the villagers grew louder. Some began to murmur, perhaps the humans are right. Perhaps we have been cruel for too long. The power of the law was cracking. The truth was breaking through. Elias knew the danger had not ended. He looked at the girl and whispered, They may still try to harm you, but you must keep standing. You must show them that you are more than their law. The girl nodded. Her heart pounding, she stepped forward. Her hands trembling but steady, she lifted her face toward the crowd. Look at me, she cried. I was blind for 15 years. But now I see you called me a curse, but I am proof of life. Proof of hope. The villagers fell silent, their eyes fixed on her. Even those who had once mocked her could not deny the miracle. They saw her tears, her courage, her sight. Something stirred in their hearts, something they had long forgotten. Compassion, the elders shouted again. This is forbidden, they roared. Humanity will be punished, their ship destroyed, their name erased. But Elias stood unshaken. Then punish us, he said. But know this, we will not undo what we have done. Her sight is hers, and no law will take it back. The silence that followed was heavy as stone. The soldiers looked at one another. Uncertain, the villagers whispered, some even wept. The elders had ruled with fear for centuries, but in one night, humanity had shown them a power greater than fear. The power of mercy. The girl turned to the humans, her voice soft but strong. You gave me back the light, she said. You gave me back my life. Kara squeezed her hand, smiling through her tears. No, she said gently. You gave it to yourself. You chose to fight. You chose to believe. The girl's lips trembled. But she nodded. For the first time, she felt more than hope. She felt strength. The price of compassion had been great. The humans had risked their lives, their mission, and their future. The girl had risked her soul, stepping against the law of her people. But in the end, something greater had been born. A seed of change in a world that had forgotten kindness. The elders retreated in silence, their power shaken. The soldiers lowered their weapons, no longer sure of the law they served. And the villagers whispered a new truth, that perhaps compassion was not weakness, that perhaps mercy was not a crime, and that perhaps humanity had brought them a gift greater than any punishment. The girl stood in the center of them all, her blurred eyes filled with light. Her awakening was complete. She was no longer the cursed child in darkness. She was a symbol of hope. And though the humans might one day leave her world, their compassion would never be forgotten. In the end, it was not war, not power, not fear that changed her fate. It was a simple act of mercy. The price of compassion had been high, but its light would outlast every shadow.